What's up, YouTube? I'm gonna share a story with you. Personal experience. Everything is facts. So, it's a story about guns and my first experience with handguns. Sipping my tea, light my cigar. Well, it's already lit. Here we go. So, I guess I had to be about maybe 5, 6, maybe 7. But what I can say for sure is it was before I was in the 6th grade. Say that. And my stepdad, he used to get off work, and he had a routine every day where ultimately he would end up on the couch, either sitting up like I am now, or eventually laying across after he take a shower and whatnot, eat, watch the news. I can remember hearing him get pissed off at some story on the news or some law or something that's passed or something that the government's doing. I used to always wonder, why you even watch it? You get pissed off every day. But, so he had a routine. And this particular day, he ended up parallel on the couch. So he started out sitting up, but he ended up laying down watching something. And he slowly fell asleep. And I don't even know if he knew, but I knew he used to keep what I know now to be a 38 snub nose, 38 special under his pillow every night. I'm not sure how he used to carry it or whatnot. We talking about probably late 70s, early to mid 80s. Wasn't even the 90s. So he would, he would keep his gun under his pillow, 38 special. I didn't know that's what it was. I just knew it was a gun. I didn't even know it was a revolver. I just knew it was a gun. It was really pretty. I never saw the details until this particular day. So when he ended up parallel on the couch, he fell asleep. Now mind you, all the lights are on. When you walked in this particular house, it seemed like it was huge when I was a kid, but looking back, going over there now and seeing the house, it was small. But from the moment you walk in the front door, there's a couch right here. And from that couch position, you can see straight through the house all the way to the kitchen and the other adjacent rooms and more room to the back. And all the lights were on. So, but he was asleep. He looked to be asleep. TV was on. I'm in the dining room area. He's in the living room, another room over. So I say he's about 25, 30 feet right in front of me on the couch. And I don't know what made me curious that day. I don't really know what led up to, but I know it was just him and myself there that day. For that day, I wanted to see his gun. So when he fell asleep, well, I thought he was asleep. He wasn't asleep though. But so I went in there and went under the pillow and grabbed his 38 special. I instinctively knew. I don't know how I knew this because I don't necessarily remember being taught this, but I instinctively knew not to grab the trigger. So I grabbed it by the handle like this. And this 38 is similar to this one, but this is a 45 and it's nickel plated. His was black and shiny, and he had a wood grain handle on it, and it had two like horses on each side, a big horse on this side and a big horse on this side. So it was just beautiful. This part was really shiny black wood grain handle. So similar to this, but not really, but it was a revolver like this. So I grabbed the revolver by the handle. I remember carrying it like this, and I got right in the middle of the floor, right in front of him. He was sleeping now, but he was looking in my direction, and his eyes was closed. And I just got in the middle of the floor, had green carpet, and I just put the gun down on the floor like This, my hand represents the floor. I just put it down on the floor like this. I looked at the handle. That's when I noticed the horses. I hadn't noticed that at first. I hadn't noticed the details. I just used to see it from far away. Looked at it, picked it up, flipped it over, still knowing not to touch this trigger. But I looked at it, I was like, oh man. Flipped it back over, just like that, went, put it back under his pillow. So that my anxiety, I didn't even know it was called anxiety at the time, but my anxiety was so high because I thought I had just got away with looking at his pistol or touching that gun. That was the first time I ever touched it, and it was loaded. I never touched the trigger or nothing like that. Mind you, I grew up in a house with guns everywhere. It was never a gun safe, never anything locked up. We always knew he kept a gun here, he kept a gun here. It was always guns strategically placed all over the house. And we knew instinctively as kids, you don't touch the guns. We never even had the idea. We never even heard stories, stuff like that. However, so I guess my anxiety was so high that, I don't know if you know about anxiety, when your heart get to pumping and all your juices get to flowing and your adrenaline is going, you gotta pee sometime. So I had to pee. So I just went to the bathroom, pee, used the bathroom, came out, washed my hands, came out. And when I came out, he was sitting upright on the couch. Mind you, 2 minutes might have had passed. He was sitting upright on the couch, staring right at me and asked me, what was you doing fucking with my gun? Just like that. And I said some old school Charlie Brown womp, womp, womp shit. He said, come here. And I'm crying, coming towards him as slow as I can. And it like Batman, like the black Batman that my father was, he grabbed me by both my hands, my wrists. He had one hand on both my wrists. And he grabbed his belt from around his waist at the same time. So it was like this, both my hands up in the air, my feet barely on the ground. He whipped the belt out. Don't you ever, blah, 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 something. I can't remember what he was saying, but it was pointing to, don't you ever touch that gun again, ever. And I remember he didn't whip me a long time, but he didn't take my clothes off. It was through my jeans, but it hurted so bad. It was mostly scary. A couple of the shots hurt, but it was mostly scary. But I got the message. Stay away from them guns. You know, you fast forward a few years later, you know, I'm an avid gun owner. Responsible. He taught me responsibility in that moment. This is without gun safes and all these safe things we have in place as parents today. It is possible to teach your kids about gun safety, or any ignorant person, not necessarily kids, but specifically kids that don't know about guns. It's possible to teach them gun safety and to be safe with your handguns around other people, because my father did it in the late 70s, early 80s. So from that point on, I knew to be a lot more responsible with guns, and I only evolved and got better. So please, if you own handguns, firearms, please be safe around children and ignorant adults. Peace. Black Mud.